I am Chad Harberts, and this is the Chad Harberts Show, where we talk about all the great things going on in the high school sports scene across the state of Iowa with the movers and shakers, the athletes, the coaches, the officials, and today is no different. Today, we've got a special one. We have someone who is at the top of his game, not in Iowa. I'm talking about nationally. There is nobody better in the country at any level at public address announcing as Mike J is for the Iowa Cross Country Championships, for the State Track and Field Championships, for the Drake Relays. Mike J is a tremendous asset to the state of Iowa. If you go to the state track meet this weekend and listen to Mike announce, he is tremendous. He gives you all the facts and the information. He weaves it in and out of the races. You know he's there, but you don't know he's there. And then at the last second, he's bringing you back in because the kid's about to break a record or set a new PR. And it's just unbelievable that we not only have this great track and field meet, but we also have the premier PA announcer in the country calling our track and field meet. And I want you to hear from him personally because he's just a great guy. He's doing great things for the kids in Iowa. And I'm so happy he decided to come on the show today because I know he's got a lot of work going on, getting ready to get for the state track meets on Thursday through Sunday. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, here is Mike J. Mike, our mutual friend, Jason Esslinger, who you've known for a long time. I actually grew up with him in Grundy Center. He helped me set up this interview today, and I appreciate you coming on short notice because I know state track's a couple days away, and it's going to be a big deal. And it takes a lot to get ready for state track.
Yeah, and I had hard travel back yesterday from the Ivy League, and it screwed me up. Flights canceled, and got a flight finally to Madison, Wisconsin. And my wife was nice enough to come up and get me for a 3-hour drive home. Got home about 2 a.m. So here I am. We're the best track meet in the country is coming up this week. It's going to be special. The Iowa kids just continue to get better each and every year.
I got to tell you, I have worked in sports for almost 40 years. I've been a public address announcer at probably 100 high school and college events, mainly in the Kansas City area. I've been a TV and radio announcer for probably 3 times that many. And so I'm a PA announcer snob. I go to so many sporting events. I love the PA announcers. And I go there, and unfortunately, there's a lot of them that have what we call diarrhea of the mouth.
Yep. It's all about them. Yep.
State the obvious. I have one in my area now who announces the score of the basketball game at the end of every quarter, not thinking about the fact there's a scoreboard at either end of the gym. But you are different. You are the soundtrack of the events you work. And the most amazing thing when I listen to you work is you get all this information to the public, which is the job, but you do it in a way where you never distract from the competitions that are going on. And Mike, simply, you are the greatest PA announcer I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, that's a pretty high bar, but thank you. But the PA announcer's job to me is to not entertain the crowd, but to educate the crowd as to what's going on and let the athletes do all the work. Just set the table so people that maybe don't know what to expect or what these athletes accomplished after the fact. And it's not about me. It's about, I tell people, you cannot have a track meet without officials or athletes, but you can sure as heck have one without an announcer. So I don't take this for granted.
You can, but they're not nearly as good without an announcer.
Well,
because track's one of those sports, and it's a discussion I've had with Jason Esslinger and with the boys in a joking manner. But track is one of those sports that doesn't wear uniform numbers. And I said, as a sports reporter, my number one thing that I would change with the associations is it'd be mandatory that every single sport has uniform numbers so you know who's who. And track isn't one of those sports you're stuck with. You do have bib assignments, you do have bib numbers, I know, at the state championships, but you're stuck a lot of times with just lane assignments and hoping you got the right person in the right lane.
And for some reason, in the last 5 to 7 years, black has become the predominant color in uniforms. And many of them will have a black uniform and then a dark color on the lettering. And it's almost impossible to figure them out. And then some schools will wear different uniforms for different events and that type of thing. But by the end of the weekend, we've got them all memorized and in good shape. But there's always a surprise or two. And then with all the consolidations that we have now, You're trying to figure out where those schools originated, on what towns involved, and that type of thing. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Let's go a little background here. You are a Columbus Junction guy. You're an athlete there, and you were a longtime coach there.
Yeah. Very mediocre athlete. On my best day, I was mediocre, but fell in love with the sport in the 70s. Absolutely. I went my first Drake relays and first state meet in 1975 as a tag-along high school sophomore, and have not missed either one since. And coached for 30 years there, cross country and track. And this sport has given me so very much that I'm absolutely blessed.
So my dad was one of the great track and field athletes in Grundy Center history in the late 50s. And I was woefully average to the point where I didn't go out for track in high school because there's no way I wanted to be compared to what he did. But he was a longtime season ticket holder for the Drake relays. And we would go to the Drake relays. We'd go to state track long after I was out of high school. And I know how big these two events are in this state.
Oh, absolutely. And track fans in Iowa are very savvy. And as I travel, and many times people ask me, what's your favorite meet to announce? And I tell them our state meet, and they just can't get over that because their state meet isn't equal to ours. Let's face it. We draw more than last year. Over 3 days, we had over 40,000 paid attendance. And I tell people it's 10,000 plus sitting shoulder to shoulder for 3 days, cheering for people they don't even know. And it's magical. When they talk about blue oval magic, it's real.
And you've carved out quite a career post coaching with this announcing, because yes, people in the state know you as the cross country championships and the Drake relays and the state track meet, but you do high school events, you do University of Iowa events, you've done Olympic events and NCAA events. Really, you've carved out a heck of a career as a public address announcer.
It's been pretty crazy. I did my first meet in 1984 when I was an assistant coach at our home meet. And it has just grown. I've never asked for a job, but I've done 36 NCAA championships, Division I, between indoor and outdoor and cross country, 35 U.S. championships, 5 Olympic trials. It's do the Ivy League every year. That's the only way Mike J could ever get on an Ivy League campus was to announce a track meet. I'm telling you. So, yeah, it's been a great ride, and we'll see how much longer I can do it. But until somebody tells me I can't, or Mother Nature tells me I can't, I'm going to keep at it.
And I'm going to tell you, as a guy who has done your job on a much smaller scale, there's so much preparation you have to do for any event you're doing, because it's a lot more than just making sure you're pronouncing the names correctly. You know all these past histories, you know the site record or the conference record or the national record. And those are things that might not come up until they suddenly do come up, and you have to know that. And so there's a lot of preparation that goes into any track meet or any event you're trying to be the PA announcer for.
Absolutely. And most days I'll only use about 50% of what I prep. Okay. But I would rather have it than not need it, than need it and not have it. And you never know. And I don't want to tell somebody it was a record 30 seconds after the race is over. It's got to happen immediately. It's lost its life at that point. There's something else going on, and the kids are off the track. So nobody to applaud. Then you're telling somebody they got a record. Have your stuff together and have it ready when it's time.
Unfortunately, I've done that, and it didn't work out very well, because the very first year, the University of Missouri, Kansas City hosted the conference track meet in Kansas City. I was the public address announcer, and the first event was the 10,000 meters. And that runner comes down and is shattering the Mid-Continent Conference track record. And it turns out the track official stopped the race a lap short. When I'm out there saying it's a brand new record, first event, and it turns out they only went 9,600 meters. And those are hard ones to come back from.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But it happens. It happens. Yeah. And yeah, that's a tough way to start the meet. Hopefully everything got better afterwards.
State track this week, Thursday through Saturday. We're the only state in the country where the boys and girls run together, which already makes it unique. And everything else combined, the blue track, the history, the fantastic officials that we have that run these things, the athletes, it all combines to be just the greatest spectacle in Iowa sports. There's nothing at any level of Iowa sports that can compare to those 3 days of the state track meet. And I know it takes a lot of work from you and the people helping you out to make sure it all goes off without a hitch, because you're the voice of all of it. If there's a glitch somewhere or something doesn't quite go right, they're counting on you to kind of get them back on track. The fan is, and give them the information they want. And it's a big endeavor. How much preparation does it take you to get ready for the state track meet?
Oh, over 40 hours for sure. Yeah. I've been in my basement right now. I've been down here since 4:30. Got home last night about 1:45, but it's what has to be done. And so I try to get all of my race prep done by Wednesday morning. And then Wednesday I go through and work on all the pronunciations, and then leave here about noon or 1 o'clock and head to Des Moines.
Yeah, because you're going to get a bunch of new kids every year. And let's face it, the names are getting more and more unique. You're not getting a bunch of Joes and Jims and Marys and Alices. You're getting a lot of unique names. I just had the pleasure of covering Xavier Walker Baruth of Columbus Catholic last Thursday, who's going down as a freshman this week. So the names are unique. And as a PA announcer, I know one of your biggest fears is getting one of those wrong.
Absolutely. And so I send out emails to and social posts to coaches saying, hey, don't assume I know the name, and don't think it's not a big deal, because those kids don't want to be called Billy if their name's Bob. And so I don't get near as many back as I'd hoped, but track and field roots in Iowa run very deep. There's a good chance that some athlete that's competing this weekend has had a family member prior, and perhaps I got the correct pronunciation from that one. But yeah, it's not as challenging as the NCAA championships, but it's still a challenge because it's my home turf and I want everybody's name pronounced right.
Well, that's the next thing, is you've been doing it for so long. One of our big stories in the Waterloo Cedar Falls area is obviously Charlie Gall and her mother, Sarah Gray, who was a great track athlete at Cedar Falls back in the mid-90s. And you have to know these things and be able to present them to the crowd because it's such a great tidbit.
I made the comment at the Drake Relays last year that Sarah was no longer the fastest 3,000 runner in the family. And I hope she took that correct the right way. But yeah, but those are just, so it's obvious Charlie just grown up with track and field her entire life. And there's a lot of that in the sport. There's a young girl from Muscatine, Avery Bradley. Her granddad is Leroy McEwen, the great athlete back in the day from Corning. Was an outstanding all-around athlete, first team all-state basketball, but track and field was really his bread and butter. So now he's got a granddaughter competing on the Blue Oval. There's, like I say, the roots of track and field in Iowa run very deep.
Mike, I've heard from athletes and I've heard from coaches both that they hear you coming down that backstretch, heading for the finish line, and it makes them want to go faster. And then I think about last year and Quentin Nauman and how electric the entire stadium was. And yes, he was running the race of his life, and he is one of the great track athletes that's ever come out of Iowa. But I also think you in the background of that race was so important for how that all finished up and how much the crowd appreciated what he had just done.
I wanted them to know that not only was he winning, but it was very special. It's something that had never been done before in Iowa. And they were going to cheer for Quentin Nauman regardless, because he's such a talent and he was going to win the race at the end. But I wanted them to know how special that win was and what it meant statistically. And I didn't say a word the last 60 meters, just let Quentin do his thing and let the crowd get involved. And yeah, it was special, that's for sure.
What are a couple of your favorite memories of calling the state track and field championships?
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Ashley Miller getting her 15th title was pretty cool. The Dinsdale twins wrote things like that. Nauman, Thomas Pollard going 850 in the 3,200. Will that get broken this year? We'll have somebody go sub 850 for the first time. Who knows? Any relay, I always hope that the relays, whatever team has the fastest quarter miler or half miler or 200 guy gets the stick about 30 meters back. So they can just light up the crowd. So the relay races are crazy. Where our boys shuttle hurdle relay has gone in the last 10 years is mind-boggling. When they first started that shuttle hurdle relay, it was like, oh gosh, is this really a good idea? You got to run sub 60 to even have a sniff at a medal. Field events, there's always something magical about a 7-foot high jump. And the young man from Waukee went 7 feet even at Drake, and hopefully he can duplicate that this weekend. And so everything is always good, but there's always things that have that special feeling of chasing an all-time mark and that type of thing. I think we're going to see it this year. Some of these kids that are seniors are going to want to leave raising their name in the slot on the record book for sure.
Yeah, I've spent the last 4 or 5 hours writing my state track previews for the boys and the girls for our area. And obviously, we've got some great North Iowa Cedar League kids going down there. We've got some good Class 1A kids down there. But the other thing I saw, especially on the girls' side, was an influx of really good freshmen. They're going down for the first time. And that, for a freshman to go down to the Blue Oval the first time and be someone who could win an event,
yes,
that doesn't come along a whole lot.
Here's an example that I just ran across 10 minutes ago. Waukee Northwest set the all-time best in the girls 4x2 at Drake, and are the 3-time defending champions. There's only one girl on that quartet that was on the team last year.
Yeah.
How do you do that? You get better.
Reload.
They are so deep. They're going to set a new all-time scoring record this year. There's no doubt in my mind. They scored 258 at the state qualifying meet.
Yeah.
So those type of things. We talk about the individuals in this sport and how great they are, but the team aspect is really where it's at. And it's those outstanding individuals that make the team aspect happen.
I know from being around the Cedar Falls girls, they would love to compete for the state title this year because they're coming from a pretty bad spot just a couple of years ago.
Sure.
They know it's going to be tough because there are some really good CIML girls teams down there as well.
Yeah. The depth is just, you're seeing student athletes now with results that 10 years ago, we would say they'd never be beaten. I was on the 4A boys 4x2, a 129 4x2 got in the slow section.
Yeah.
It's just,
they're
mind-boggling.
Yeah. I was at Hudson last Thursday, and Hudson has the great Molly Hansen, who's just one of the great track and field athletes that's ever come out of Hudson. And in the 4x8, she took the baton in 4th place. And after one lap, she was in 1st place. She basically sprinted 800 meters and then passed on the infield, just willing her team to a victory.
No, absolutely. And you can't coach that.
No.
You can ask kids and tell them that's what you want. That has to come from the heart and love for the sport. And there'll be a lot of that this weekend. That's for sure.
Now, here's the other thing I read about you, and I knew about you, but you're a former coach. You're a guy who likes to give back to the kids, and you've got the Track Guy Foundation. Tell me about the Track Guy Foundation and how far you've come and what you're trying to achieve with it.
Sure. We started in October of 2018. Our boys, my wife Renee and I, we have 3 grown sons, and they said, Dad, it's time to give back to the sport somehow. We need to do something. The sport has been good to our family and to you. And as a former coach, I always knew that there was a need for kids that needed new shoes in track and field. Not everybody could afford them. And I didn't want, and as a coach, I would buy them myself. And I never wanted a kid not to go out because of that reason. So our goal was to purchase 25 new pair of shoes for Iowa track kids per year and give away one $500 scholarship. So now since 2019, we're almost at 2,000 pair of shoes and 96 $500 scholarships. We've had 14 speaker series events around. We have free coaching clinics, free athletes clinics. And then this year we have teamed up with the Quad City Times Big 7 and Iowa American Water out of the Quad Cities. And any Iowa high school boy, girl, or junior high boy or girl that wants to run the Bix to get free entry.
That is just excellent. That's just excellent for the kids all across Iowa. And then I also saw there's a Track Guy movie.
Yeah, a young man from University of Iowa graduate made a documentary about our foundation, and it's won some awards. And yeah, it's pretty humbling. Never was on my bingo card to have a documentary made about what we do, but hope it's going to go out public here pretty soon. It's in one more film festival in Des Moines coming up next month. So then after that, it'll be available to the public on several different platforms.
That is excellent. Mike, I just got back in the state a couple of years ago. I was gone for 30 years, and I got back into sports writing here in Waterloo Cedar Falls. And last year at the state meet, I wanted to come to the press box and meet you because I've known Jason Esslinger my entire life.
Sure.
I was scared to interrupt you because I know how your job is. And I told Jason Esslinger when the meet was over, and he goes, "You should have just came in the booth."
Yeah.
This year, I promise you, when I'm down there Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, I'm going to stop at the booth and see you.
Sure. And I'm smart enough that I'm not going to turn around and talk to somebody if I'm busy, but they just have to be patient. There's people in and out of the booth all day, every day. It doesn't bother me at all. I've got a job to do. And when I get a break, we'll see who's there and visit and take pictures. And yeah, it's all good.
Mike, I'll tell you, I've been to the state cross country championships, the track championships now, and it may not always be appreciated because people are there to watch their kids or watch their team, but subconsciously they know it's you, that it's in their head, it's giving them the updates, and I appreciate it so much. And I hope people, when they go to the state track meet this weekend, this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they enjoy all the competitions, but they also understand that the gift that you're giving them those 3 days, that providing that soundtrack for this entire championship is something that we don't get anywhere else in the country. It is special to Iowa. And from the bottom of my heart, the way you do it and how you do it is just tremendous.
Thank you. It's a lot of work, but a labor of love, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. The state meet week is our family's life is revolved around that. Nobody dies on this weekend. Nobody gets married on this weekend. To be able to go to Drake Stadium each and every year for the relays and the state meet is an honor. I'm blessed to have the opportunity, and I'll be around hopefully until it's time to leave and whenever that time comes. But I have a true love for Iowa student athletes. I think that's one thing. When Quentin Nauman and Caleb Tenpass are both going to Oregon, and Jerry Schumacher, the Oregon head coach, is an acquaintance of mine. And he said, Midwest kids are tough. We'll always recruit Midwest kids because they don't care what the weather is when it's time for practice. They know what hard work is, and they respect the sport and don't expect anything in return. They just want to go there and do their job. And I appreciate that very much. And it shows each and every year.
Little Cadence Huck from Nashua Plainfield, who ran a race last year without a shoe for a one lap and still almost won it, is tearing it up down at Oklahoma State.
I've seen Cadence at probably 4 different meets this year. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
It's just a girl from a small town making it big in Stillwater.
Absolutely. I was at the Ivy League this weekend, and there was a shot putter for Princeton, a young lady from West Lyon, and a hammer thrower, discus thrower from Muscatine for Yale. I made sure that people knew they were from Iowa when I had the opportunity. And it's neat to be able to go to meets around the country and when there's Iowa ties. It's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Mike, I appreciate your time. I know you got a lot of work to do, but I will definitely stop in and see you this weekend in Des Moines.
You do it. Nice to meet you, Mike. Take care.
Have a good one. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much to Mike J for coming on the Chad Harberts Show. Love talking to him. I love the passion for track and field and for the coaches and the athletes, and what he's doing for our state is tremendous. Also, special thanks to Jason Esslinger at the Girls Union, my longtime friend who helped me set up this interview with Mike J today, and for our producer, John Gunderson, who's going to put this all together and make it look great so we can all enjoy listening to Mike J talk about track and field. My name is Chad Harberts. This is the Chad Harberts Show on the Sports Guys Iowa Network. Thank you so much for tuning in.